Over the past decade, the gaming industry has been going through a lot of changes, and one of these changes in particular has been bugging me for a very long time. I'm talking of course about the disappearance of manly games with tough manly protagonists like Marcus Fenix from Gears of War.
Yeah, well now we've got a power outage too.
And while back in the PS2 and PS3/Xbox 360 eras we used to get plenty of such games that were specifically aimed at men, nowadays these kinds of games seem to be in very short supply. Somewhere along the way, developers, mainly from the West, started replacing strong male leads with female protagonists and Marvel-style males who are a bit goofy and are constantly cracking unfunny jokes even in the most serious of situations.
And the final hit!
Not immediately dead!
Right off the bat, I'd like to clarify that I don't have a problem with female leads in video games. In fact, some of my favorite games have female protagonists. The Tomb Raider games, Wet, Kadelka, Nier Automata, Wanted Dead, Returnal, End the Lilies, Valkyrie Profile and Elysium, Control, AI Limit, Steel Rising, Stellar Blade, Industria, Withering Brooms, Signalis, Bayonetta, Darksiders 3, Burnhouse Lane, and I even like Forspoken, if you can wrap your head around that. So I'm not asking for less games with female protagonists, but I'd really love to see strong male protagonists make a return alongside them. I mean, what happened to Rios and Salem from Army of Two? Where's Kane and Lynch? What happened to Sam Fisher?
No more playing around.
We used to get all of these games that appeal to us as men, and now they're either dead and buried, or they've been toned down to the point where they are completely unrecognizable.
Who does this guy think he is?
Just look at the Gears of War series. The first 3 games starring Marcus Fenix were absolutely amazing. Marcus is a hardened war veteran, a tough man who never loses his composure, and who's incredibly loyal to his comrades and antagonistic towards his superiors. In the eyes of others, he was a legend, but in reality, he was just someone who was willing to fight for the survival of humanity. He's not perfect, he's a flawed character who often has to deal with his own emotions, but never crumbles under the weight of his toughest decisions.
Dom, you okay?
And people love Marcus Fenix because he is the embodiment of Gears of War. And it isn't just about Marcus, but the rest of the crew was absolutely amazing as well. All of them, a crew of giant military men with necks as thick as trees that you not only became familiar with throughout the series, but also started caring about. But then Gears 4 came out and Marcus was replaced by his son JD, and the rest of the crew got swapped for a team of unlikable youngsters with Marvel-type banter and softer attitudes.
Uh-oh.
Now what?
The game still looks like Gears, it plays like Gears, but it doesn't feel like Gears anymore. The angry tough military men are gone and the new characters are tame, boring and predictable. And I really wanted to like this game, but I ended up dropping it after 6 or 7 hours because it just didn't scratch that Gears itch. Gears 5 went even further and replaced JD with a skinny female protagonist and made the game open world. Needless to say, I didn't even bother getting it on Game Pass, not because I have a problem with female protagonists in video games like I said, but because there is a time and place for everything and this simply doesn't feel like a Gears game anymore. So I think I'm good. And the same can be said about other series like God of War that went from this to this. Don't get me wrong, I think the 2018 God of War game was absolutely amazing, but it also presented a toned down version of Kratos, who's now wiser and has more self-control. Nothing wrong with that in a standalone game, but Kratos used to be ruthless and filled with rage, and that's why people fell in love with the original games. Sure, the series needed a change after releasing 6 games with near identical mechanics, but I wish that change was strictly focused on game design and not the main character himself. And while I did enjoy the 2018 game, I completely lost interest in it by the time Ragnarok came out because I felt like it was trying too hard to be like a Marvel superhero movie.
What in all yarn speed that happened to him?
Ryu Hayabusa, the protagonist of Ninja Gaiden, has been missing in action for over 13 years now, so I was incredibly hyped when I heard Ninja Gaiden 4 is coming out. But then I watched the trailer and the hype went away as soon as they introduced a new protagonist who looks like an anime character. The gameplay looks amazing, but why replace one of the coolest main characters in video games history with a young anime kid? And that's the problem I'm talking about. Game developers seem to have an aversion to manly, tough, stoic main characters these days. I think at some point people started having a real problem with the lack of strong female leads in video games, which is fine and understandable to some extent, but right now it feels like an overcorrection that has been pushing manly games out of the industry for over a decade while telling them that they're not welcome here anymore, with some people even celebrating the death of strong male leads. But I think it's time for the gaming industry to bring these kinds of games back and try to restore the balance. Because as much as I love games with female protagonists, I also love games like Army of Two, Kane and Lynch, Spec Ops The Line, Dead 2 Rise Retribution, Metal Gear Rising, Splinter Cell Conviction, Max Payne, The Darkness, Blood Omen 2, and Dante's Inferno. I'm not always in the mood for a cinematic, emotional gaming experience. Sometimes I just want to play a tough, angry dude who kills bad guys and demons and monsters to save his loved ones or even the entire world. Sometimes I want to play a game about justice and honor. A game about making tough choices. A game that is relatable to me as a man. I know there is a certain part of the gaming community that mocks and laughs at such games and ideas while celebrating the blandness of games that try to cater to everyone and to no one in particular, like the more recent Assassin's Creed games.
Not at all.
But I think their ideas are coming from a place of hatred towards masculinity, so they shouldn't be taken seriously.
I wrote a blog post a while ago about why I f***ing hate video games, because this is what it does. It appeals to like the male fantasy.
Men need masculine games with masculine heroes just as much as women need feminine games with feminine heroes, and I don't think most games should try and cater to both. I know for a fact that girls really love girly games that cater to them specifically. You know how I know? Because I've been playing Infinity Nikki since launch, an open world platformer / dress up game that was made for a female audience, and I've seen how happy the community was to finally get a game that feels made for them specifically as women. And no matter how hard some people try to convince everyone that every single game should appeal to as wide an audience as possible, the reality is that sometimes our brothers need manly games and our sisters need girly games.
The wind is picking up. Momo, be careful. Don't blow away.
And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I've been gaming for over 30 years now, and I absolutely love video games. As I've been saying throughout the video, I play a lot of different games, from the most testosterone-filled ones like Gears of War, to some of the most feminine ones like Infinity Nikki. So this is not coming from a place of hatred towards a specific type of game or a specific type of protagonist. But I miss manly games like the ones we used to get a couple of generations ago, and I'm sure I can't be the only guy who feels this way. I don't know if developers will ever go back to making manly games or if masculinity in gaming will be considered a sin forever. But I think many people crave these types of experiences, and their absence has created an empty void that not many games are able to fill anymore. So I think it's time to try and restore that balance and go back to making manly games. But this is all I have to say on this particular subject. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so whether you agree or disagree, please drop a comment and let me know how you feel about it.
An excellent kill. Fortune favors your blade.
If you enjoyed this video, please square triangle the shit out of that like button and consider subscribing, as a second of your time could change my entire life. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Try not to dishonor us further.